All right, let's talk about some more serious stuff here. Space weather. So we'll head to spaceweather.com. We're going to go from less detail to more detail. So let's look at the left pane here. Current conditions, solar wind speed has come up a little bit to 456.1. Density is 4.2 protons per cubic centimeter, a little higher than it's been, although X-ray flaring is incredibly low. And that's because each morning very early in Zulu time, there's been an electron flux drop-off, which we're going to cover in a minute. The sun has no sunspots. There is a plage, which looks a little bit like a sunspot. Whoops. There is a plage which looks a little like a sunspot in this area, with a coronal hole here and here. But those are not sunspots. So that it looked like one when it was rising. It is a more active region. Anyway, so there's been no sunspots now for 17 days, which is a pretty long expanse. The solar minimum is looking pretty minimum. KP is at 2. It's only been at 2. So there's the plage noted here. And then here's your coronal holes on either side. It looks to me like there's going to be some activity picking up. It's a combination of those two little equatorial coronal holes and that active region there. And so let's look at spaceweathernews.com to get a little more detail. What really happened here each day, I mean, you can see the X-ray flux is completely flatlined, almost completely flatlined. It jumps up a little bit in the low energy spectrum there. Solar wind, very basic except for phi angle switches. But we got a little increase in the speed here. And that's because the magnetometer is not dropping as low and the electron flux is not dropping as low, which is kind of good news considering how utterly low the activity's been. I mean, look at the trend here. It's a complete flat line except for a couple little peaks and troughs. Almost nothing. But sometimes what's interesting is what's not happening. So KP's been between 3 and 1 in the past 36 hours. Here's your proton flux, very low. This is going to jump up a little bit. And this is the main activity that's been going on. This is the electron flux. You notice each morning it's dropped down very low, and then not as low. So you can see at both energy spectrums the same kind of a trend like this. So yeah, in conclusion, it looks like this dreary trend of the electron flux dropping off every morning in this extreme fashion has come to a temporary end. There's going to be a little bit more activity hitting the planet, and so everything will be a little bit more charged, which is kind of good. Here's the F2 ionosphere map. Activity very low, but it's going to pick up a little bit. So that's welcome news. Also, if you notice the periodicity of these troughs, this last one is a little longer. The one on the 12th, see, it's about that long. This one's only about this long. And this one's very short and very minor. The time span in between them has increased a little bit too. And so that's nice. We're getting a little higher electron flux states, which is kind of what you want to see. Lastly, let's just take a quick look at Solar Ham, your source for amazing solar data. And we'll get a close-up of this phage here. I mean plage. My mistake. A nice high res of that. Not bad, but not a sunspot. Activity is increasing, though, so have a good day.